Sorry, but I'm going crazy over this. In 2023, I'm still hearing people saying save the bees, and I just want one person to look up the facts about the damage that bee farming is doing to our planet. Please, just one person, read this message and do a few minutes research. It's driving me mad, and I'm alone. Yep, your OP is true and correct. You are going crazy. Lettuce spray is going to turn up a lot. Because of all you so goddamn naive and brain dead. Somebody else has said something that seems to have disappeared. Don't know what he said, sorry, I can't remember that one. People were trying to save the honeybees because they find it so massively useful for agriculture. And it was never about the planet or native populators, which some might do a better job. Some of which might do a better job. Oh, thank you for agreeing with me without actually realising you're agreeing with me. Can you explain what the holy F has your post got to do with theism or atheism? Surely you should be on a beekeeping site. Right, just to clarify, beekeepers are fine. That's static, normal bees. Those are local pollinators. This is very obvious, very simple. It's got to do with literally everything that exists on Earth, you ignorant moron. Stop ignoring it. This is important. Up till now, not a single person has asked me for facts or gone to my channel to check the facts. Nobody's done anything. Naive, ignorant fool. Can't remember who that one was. Oh, people trying to save the honeybees. Yeah. Think about what you're saying. Debate me. I'd love to debate that guy because he agrees with me already. You just don't realise it yet. Who would bother to waste time debating a crazy person with a bee in their bonnet who can't spell? Oh, is that message edited? Can we see the original, please? Oh, we can't. Oh, you can on PC. I am gutted. I am actually gutted about that. So he put, who would anyone bother to waste time debating a crazy person with a bee in their bonnet who can't spell? Because he meant to put, why would anyone? Because I can fix because being the answer to the why, not who would bother to waste time. That would be a different question. He put, what was it? Who would anyway bother? Why would anyone? Who would anyone bother? And I looked at it, it took me a while, and I realised that the who was meant to be a why, right? So it was, why would anyone bother to waste time debating a crazy person with a bee in their bonnet who can't spell? To which I replied, because I can fix your crazy and your spelling. Honestly, I don't mind. Why has a Y in it. It's pretty far from the O on the keyboard, that is. This is pathetic. Not a single person can address the fact. Just pathetic attempts to bully me. It would be laughable if it wasn't so sad. You are all complicit in the destruction of nature. Got a giggle? What facts? Here we go, Lettuce. I'll lay out the facts for you, bro. Bee industries transport large colonies of genetically modified bees all around the country to pollinate large croplands and orchards. Wherever they go, they eat the food and harvest all the pollen. I couldn't spell. I know, weird, right? I can spell pollinator, but I can't spell pollen. It's not P-O-L-L-I-N, I know that much. Wherever they go, they eat all the food and harvest all the pollen, leaving very little for the local natural pollinators. Number 3, the lack of food leads to starvation of the local insect population, meaning that the area is now fully reliant on the bee industry coming back annually, obviously. Number 4, the lack of local insects leads to the loss of wildflowers and birds in the area. Number 5, bee industries spent a lot of money on an ad campaign called Save the Bees, which was so effective that it is taken today as unquestionable fact of life. Number 6, plants evolved long before bees existed, therefore the lie should be obvious to you, but you believe it and perpetuate it anyway. Number 7, this trend will lead to a loss of all wild areas over time, the very thing that you have been led to believe will happen if you don't save the bees. Bit of a tongue twister. Number 8, all this information is very easy to find. None of it is hidden. It is all literally just facts. It's like jigsaw puzzles that I seem to be the only one who's put into this particular shape and come up with a please kill the bees symbol, which I haven't created, but I have in my mind. Is that enough facts for you? Can't people even at least look at my channel before they force me to repeat myself? How many times have I said this, chat? Jesus, somebody tell me. There is... Oh, that guy said, you're preaching to the choir. I work in Big Pharma, but I was pretty sure it was a troll. I didn't want to, like... You know what I mean? So I put, there is no choir. It's an empty church. But it's honestly so heartwarming to finally have one person that at least doesn't just invalidate my argument with an ad hom attack. But the cowards left. You know what I mean? Cowards leave. I always leave my response to them up to prove that there was a coward there that left, you know what I mean? And if they try to do that, change the comment thing, at least it shows as edited. And you know what I mean? There's always, I've always still got my integrity at the end of the day. Lettuce, obviously, he didn't get the tag. If you look, he did not get that tag. And that keeps happening to me. So really, that was just me poking the bear. The edited comments still show up right, is going back to that one where I was saying about the who and the why. If you check on your PC, I'm positive you can still see edited comments. I don't know why they haven't added that as a feature for mobile phones. It's quite important, but hey, my PC got destroyed. That was another me standing up and having manly integrity. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Give me a second. Please explain how the lack of local insects leads to the loss of wildflowers. I'm listening. Like, are you actually having a laugh? Is that a serious comment? Do you honestly think if I could snap my fingers and delete all your natural pollinators from your local area, you don't think that's going to have an impact at all on the wildflowers? What? At this point, I've got to wonder why you're bothering to save the bees then, because you must think, I mean, the only thing I'm left with, and please, I don't want to straw man you, please let me know if this isn't what you think, but I'm assuming you just think that flowers pop out of nowhere for no reason. If insects don't play a part, then obviously bees don't play a part. What? So why are you interested in this? If you don't even know how flowers work, why are you specifically so invested in this particular conversation? Why on earth are you so invested in trying to shout me down? This is the part that I don't get, people, right? Please. What I don't get is, I've seen a lot of things, right, that I've not particularly agreed with or not particularly understood, or you know, I don't research or I'm bored of. It's not a subject that I'm interested in. Do you know what I don't do? Is assume that that content is meant for me. I don't leave a message. I don't leave a dislike. I don't do anything. Who are these people that go so far out of the way to try shout down something and make themselves intentionally sound so fucking ignorant doing it? Now, I give Craig a pass on that one because I've been bugging him. And the reason I've been bugging him is because I respect him as a content creator. I've had a lot of respect for him for a long time. I love commenting on his videos. I love how interactive he still is with his community, even considering how big it is and how poor his health is, because the poor guy got brainwashed into vaccinating. And you can't blame the people who got vaccinated, man. It's not their fault. They follow scientists to the point that they are just blind to a con, right? And that's fine. I also would have done the same thing. If only, I mean, lucky for me, I'm entertained by stupidity. So I went out of my way to look for people who were anti-vaxxers. Like, what the fuck is going on? Why are these loopy people about? And lo and behold, they had some freaking valid arguments. And rather than ad hom them, oh, you believe in God, oh, you're a right-wing Bible basher from fucking the south of America, I don't care where they're from, I'm listening to the words coming out of their mouth, and I'm thinking, well, I'll go look that up, I'll go find out for myself. Holy shit, look at that. The right-wing conservative Christians are the only ones showing literal facts on the screen. Everyone else is just sharing an opinion or shouting them down or laughing at them. Nobody's actually, do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't believe in the COVID vaccine. It killed my stepdad. I don't want to get too fucking personal with this shit, but I can appreciate why people like Craig would take the vaccine and why he said save the bees without ever thinking about it. But as soon as I pointed all the facts out to him, he could have at least listened to them. At that point, he's being arrogant. At that point, he's a prick. But this guy, I didn't address him. He came out of nowhere to be as ignorant as he possibly could and make me repeat myself as many times as humanly possible. This guy's fucking crazy. And why is he so invested? Well, we'll find out later. So, his comment was, going back, because that was a bit of a tangent, I apologise, I get worked up sometimes. His comment was, how the lack of local insects will lead to the loss of wildflowers. So, I responded, because I'm a nice person. Okay, bee farms come into town to pollinate the crops. Bees go everywhere and eat everything and are shipped away. Insects slowly starve because food is gone. Wildflowers don't care about crop season, but whoops, bees are now gone and local pollinators already died. Process repeats annually. Birds are constantly eating insects meanwhile, which leads, over time, to dramatic changes in the local environment. Suddenly there's no ants, no crickets, etc. The whole area now relies on bee farms to bring bees to pollinate. This is what we call industrialization. It is all for profit and it means your crops are nice and reliable. But that is not nature. Nature is chaotic. In nature, some crops would live and some die. There are plenty of alternatives, but bees are reliable and simpler to maneuver from place to place. Thank you for listening. Now, you've read that comment. You're not going to believe what he responded with. It didn't tag him again, right? Read the comment. What do you think his refutation to that is? Well, I believe he deleted it, so you won't actually find out. Yep, look, it's gone. So his refutation was to repeat the line, suddenly there's no ants and no crickets, etc. And then tell me that there are ants and crickets where he lives. So I put, you understand how words work, right? You understand the context was the future you are aiming towards. P.S. Please leave ants alone. We need them far more than you know, because he had made a comment that he struggles to deal with these pests that he considers crickets and ants. Now, with crickets, I can see why he'd think that, because from a human perspective, crickets are indeed pests. Ants, the only actual reason that farmers... Well, there's obviously a few reasons that farmers prefer bees over ants, but let's look at the evolution process and realize that they are genetically wired to do the exact same thing, right? So even if all the bees died, you've got ants. And did you know, you should, that by weight there are more ants on Earth than there are people, right? Obviously, they are literally every fucking where all the time, doing all sorts, cleaning up garbage. But the reason that people don't particularly like them for harvesting crops is because ants also keep cattle. You might not know this, but they do. They keep aphids. And what they do is they catch the aphids and then they move them around to the parts of the plant that they see fit. Now, this is perfectly natural, and over time, plants have evolved for this. So if you have a plant at home, you might sometimes find yourself pruning leaves off, and you'll notice this leads to much healthier growth. But usually, this is all done naturally by things like ants moving aphids, and the aphids will suck the life out of that leaf, and then the plant is no longer concerned about that leaf. Its energy is going to the rest of the plant. Now, obviously, you can have infestations. You can have some plants dying because they've been over farmed or whatever, like by the insects. Obviously, because they're not humans with a human brain. I don't personally know how much their instincts rely on this process. I'm not a freaking scientist. I just care about this stuff. I just look into it. I just happen to actually care and have actual knowledge in this field. Unlike every single person who is replying to me telling me I'm the idiot, not a single one of them has brought a single fact. Not a single itty-bitty fact. Not one. They call me stupid. They say I look like a crackhead. They say all this bullshit. They say, oh, it's bullshit. But they never tell me why. They never tell me what I've got wrong. His last comment disappeared. I was going to screenshot it and I'd make just a quick video, a short about how stupid it was. And then maybe add on save the ants, because ants are really important. What we're doing to ants is awful. Can I just go on a slight tangent? So we've got this poison that we give to ants, right? And what they do is it lives inside the ant, fine, right? It's like this little bacteria that's inside food that tastes good to the ants. So the ants eat it, it's full of protein, and they're like, nom nom nom. My queen needs that because she lays a fuck ton of eggs. She needs the protein. So they go over and they feed it to the queen, right? And then the queen takes in this protein and suddenly... Wait a minute. That one's not coming for me. Ambulance, I think, right? Yeah, it's not the one that we have to worry about. So yeah, suddenly the bacteria becomes activated when the queen eats it, right? It lives in the worker dormant, but then as soon as it goes into the queen, it becomes active, right? And it eats the eggs from the inside out. So she's only giving birth to stillborn eggs, which destroys the colony. Now, that might sound great. It gets rid of your ant problem, no problem, right? But you've got no control over this shit. And ants are so important. That could cause an actual, like, what's it called? What do vegans keep telling me? Like genocide. You could end up killing all the... ants everywhere, and ants do so much, like so much. They're such a vital part of the ecosystem, and the way we kill them is so uncontrollable. Like, if that gets out, it's fine if you're killing an ant colony, that, you know, because a lot of Queensland, right? So you might have one that lands in your garden, and you're like, well, that's fine. We've got colonies all, you know, on the playing fields down there and all down the street. There's lots of ant colonies. It don't matter if I kill this one in my garden, right? And that's fine. I've got no problem with that. Obviously, you don't want your garden digging up, right? That's your little human industrial area that should look like make-believe, because that's what you humans do. You love your escapism. You hate nature, and I don't understand why. But nature is still important. You can ignore that it exists, but you can't get around the fact that those ants are actually helping you an awful lot more than you think. And the fact is, once you put that poison out there, it's not just killing your ants that are causing you a problem. It's killing any other ants that happen to send one stray worker out on a bit of a mission who might be quite hungry, and he's finally found a protein source after hours of searching, and now suddenly that's gone into a super colony. If it goes into the super colonies, holy shit, that's really bad. I don't understand why humans want to change the planet so much. You've done this on purpose. This is something that's been invented. And why do I know about this stuff? Because I care about this stuff. I'm not making it up. I've looked into it. When I looked at how, you know, I had an ant infestation myself, and I looked at what does this stuff actually do? How does it work? Because there's lots of different ways of doing it. There's lots of different ways of stopping ants from getting into your property, and that one is heinous. And it exists, and it's very common. This guy comes in and says he's just got a new apiary set up. Doesn't seem to be bothering him any. Oh, what a funny guy. Wow, he's definitely read the conversation up till now, hasn't he? He totally understands what's going on. I don't care that the tag didn't work on this one. Are you able to understand that your static, normal bees are local pollinators? They will also be affected by the lack of food caused by the large bee corporations if they decide to pop round to your local farms. But don't worry, it will take years before anyone sees a dramatic shift in the local wildlife. Nice strawman attempt though, better than Craig's. And let's be real, shall we, in this one, right? When I say it will be years before anyone sees a dramatic shift in the local wildlife, the fact is nobody will see a dramatic shift in the local wildlife. What they'll do is they'll compare a photo from 30 years ago, and they'll say, hey, look at all these flowers that are different from the flowers that we've got now. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you what else, everything will be so much more organised because the bees only come into town when they come into town in spring, I assume. You'll only get spring flowers. So it'll be really fucking regular. The whole world will be nice and fucking humanly industrialized, like a little conveyor belt that's absolutely perfectly synchronized. Man, I'm surprised that we still live with our fucking 24-hour clock, if I'm honest with you. I'm so surprised that they haven't just gone on to like 360 minutes. You know what I mean? It's actually that one. It's probably going to go eventually, obviously, because we stick with certain traditions for far too long. But eventually, nothing can last forever, I guess. But anything we can do, right, to make society as like perfect, it's got to be just perfectly organised, everything in its box. What do you mean? There's a flower growing from between the cracks in your pavement? That's not a flower. That's a weed. I mean, let's ignore the fact that dandelion leaves and daisy petals are actually classed as fucking vegetables, right? Let's ignore that. Let's ignore that dandelion and burdock isn't just the name of a fizzy drink, it was a medical brew back in the day that's got actual benefits. Fucking people don't know anything about the world they live in. You're all psychotic. It's like you think that the world outside is as natural as the world inside your computer. This is why people think we live in the Matrix, because like they see things that they call a glitch or whatever, because they don't actually understand the natural forces of life or like how the real world actually works. They never look down into it and think to themselves, well, there's no chance on earth that coding could ever get that deep. And also, if this was the Matrix, it'd be pretty fucking obvious because of X, Y, and Z. Do you know what I mean? Because they don't look into it. They just live in this fantasy world where they go to work, they come home, and they're pissed off if the right cereal wasn't on the shopping aisle. Like, what the fuck's wrong with people? You are an animal that lives on a chaotic little ball that's hurtling through space. Every day is a freaking gift. What the fuck? This planet was not placed here for your luxury and benefit. It's not your right to go round and decide which animals get to live and which get to die. Alright? If you're telling me that the destruction of all bees will kill humans, which it absolutely won't, I don't think you get the right to kill all bees. I'm sorry, but I just don't. I still don't, even if it actually meant the destruction of humans. It doesn't. It just means that some companies might go bankrupt. Oh no. But they're multi-billionaires anyway. If they saw the way the tide was turning, they'd just pull out. They'd just keep the money and walk away and buy a house in Barbados. Nobody's a victim, but they're laughing at me. They're sat there in the boardrooms and one of them's going, you seen this prick on YouTube who's worked it out? Have you seen what people are saying to him? Have you seen how fucking invested average ignorant people are in looking after our wallets? This is hilarious. We don't have to do anything. When I first saw it, I was a bit worried because it's not like he's spitting anything but straight facts. But these guys are just, they're concentrating on the fact that he does look like a crackhead. I mean, regardless of the fact that obviously, if he wanted to, he could quite clearly get a shave and a haircut and make himself look presentable. The man owns a suit. You know what I mean? He used to work in a fucking office. Like, he knows how to look good. But honestly, I don't want to fuck you. I'm really sorry that I don't feel the need to look sexually attractive for your benefit. But even if I did, you still don't get to fuck me. Alright? I'm not interested. So it's got nothing to do with the conversation, and also it's not leading to the relationship that you want it to lead to. Go somewhere else, alright? 90% of the time it's blokes saying this shit to me. I don't swing that way, G. I'm sorry. Go enjoy your life, freak. Yep, I think that's the end of that one. There's that comment, by the way. Suddenly there's no ants and no crickets. More made up BS. I'm constantly having to control ants and grasshoppers in my vegetable garden without harming the bees. Where do you get this crap from? I don't know why it hides when I look at the whole convo. There's the guy saying, you're preaching to the choir, bud. I happen to be a silent partner of a bee farm. Suddenly that's got 3 likes. Don't know how. And now the conversation that I was having on the Fight the Flat Earth video where he made the statement, save the bees, which set me off. You're promoting a very dangerous line. I'll return, blah, blah, blah. I've been through all this. You've already seen all this. But it continues. Trust me, this is not a repeat. Oh, maybe it don't. How on earth is bees are important, a dangerous lie? Yeah, he's just ignoring me on that one, but he did respond to me on mine. So he said, I don't know where he gets this idea from. I genuinely don't know how he's managed to twist my words in his head. Like the fucking acrobatics he had to do to come out with, you think bees only pollinate crops? And as I said before, like that's the most retarded thing, like the most retarded retort I've ever heard to my rhetoric. Like nobody in my entire life has heard me say when the bee farmers come over to pollinate the orchards and the crop fields, they're also starving out all the natural insects because they're pollinating. You know, they're taking everything else while they're there. They're starving all the natural pollinators out, all the local pollinators out. No one's ever heard that argument before and gone, "What, you think bees only pollinate crops?" And remember that he'd said, first he said, if there's no bees, there's no flowers. And then when he asked ChatGPT, ChatGPT said, if there's no bees, there's no crops, right? So he shifted the goalpost, right? He said, if there's no bees, there's no flowers. I said, that's a lie. He said, no, it's true. If there's no bees, there's no crops. And I said, yeah, there's no crops, not there's no flowers, right? And that even that's a lie. I'll point out because I was typing. Who can be asked typing everything, right? I allowed him to get away with that argument. I shouldn't have, obviously. If I could be asked, I'd have sat there and been like, well, obviously I'm not saying that there'll be no crops. That's ridiculous because obviously if there was no bees coming in, then the normal insects would be able to come into the field and deal with it. Oh wait, you gas them all out. Why do you do that? That's so weird that you gas them all out. Oh, because it's uncontrolled and you might lose a crop or two. Boo hoo. Fucking hell. And he somehow converted that into you think crops aren't flowers. What? How did you get that? What? What? So he said, if there's no bees, there's no flowers. And I said, that's a lie. And he said, no, it's true. If there's no bees, there's no crops. And I said, yeah, there's no crops, not no flowers. And he said, you think crops aren't flowers? Craig, ever heard of post hoc ergo propter hoc? Because I haven't. I don't know what that means. It's some foreign language to me. But I do know that all ice cream men are paedophiles, but not all paedophiles are ice cream men. Tim Minchin taught me that. So what the fuck are you on about? What are you on about? You think crops aren't flowers? Of course crops are flowers, but not all flowers are crops, as I've already said. Explain that pretty yellow thing on your tomato plant. Mate, I haven't seen that pretty yellow thing on your tomato plant, but it sure as shit ain't a flower. Does a tomato flower look pretty? I'm joking. That was just an evil dig. There's no point. I'm growing peppers and all mine are tiny little shitty white flowers, so I'm no one to judge. I think that's a flower, Craig. I think you'll find that if there was no bees about, other insects would come and pollinate that, Craig. I think you'll find if a giant fat as fuck bee comes and pollinates it, you're not going to notice the difference. But that giant fat as fuck bee is then going to fly back to its queen, who's going to get put back onto her truck and driven away, and then local insects are going to come over to your tomato plants like, oh, that looks tasty. Oh, no, wait, it's all gone. It's all gone. It's all gone, Craig. It's all gone on the back of a fucking lorry. It's all gone. Nice try at a straw man. Okay, no, I'll read the whole thing. I'm not Darren. Holy shit, you're a fucking idiot. Nice try at a fucking straw man. Why don't you just talk to me like a normal human? Come down off that high horse. Clearly the air is too thin for you up there. And then I put out that worst straw man video because somehow I managed to do a quote tweet on that one. I couldn't do it on that other guy that I really wanted to do it to. So again, back to TikTok. I thought I'd chuck it on TikTok because that's where crazy people go. And I swear to God, this whole situation has driven me crazy. Even if everybody turns around tomorrow and says, you know what, you were right, I'm still, it's too late. You know what I mean? I'm already long gone now. But as you can see, the original videos did pick up, they did get quite a lot of traction, and so I am getting quite a lot of comments. The this guy comes in initially and gets it, man. He gets that I'm an over the top character. I'm making a point that people are struggling to refute because I'm right, but I'm doing it in a very, what's the word, melodramatic kind of way. There's probably another word. I've got a few likes, which is more than you get on YouTube, but at the end of the day, on YouTube, people are not going to be shown this content unless they're the kind of people who usually see crazy people, because that's the group I've been popped in. Whereas obviously on TikTok, it's different. So they're gonna force people to watch my crazy ass. Bro sounds like Cal the Dragon. Don't know who that is. If anybody in the comments wants to let me know, don't know if that's an insult or not. Kieran Bro is the only one paying for it. I don't know what that means. Bet you don't have a job, do you? No one gives a fucking shit about fucking bees. Too much crack. Amen, brother. Too much crack. That guy likes saying too much crack. Look, he just follows me about saying too much crack. Just for absolute reference, right? One time when I was in the south of France, staying in a tent, there was me and this other guy in a tent, and I had a wind-up torch, so it was quite dark. And he asked me if I would use my wind-up torch to shine a light on his arm so that he could find a needle to inject himself with heroin, because in France they take heroin in the same way that we in England take weed, right? It's just like casual. It's kind of like what the teenagers do, you know, like the college students and stuff like that. They're on a different planet in France, man, I'm telling you. So we were just sat there chatting, and all night I was like, well, not all night, but for a few hours, I was winding the torch up and getting the light and shining it on his arm so that he could find a vein. And I figured, you know, it was probably better that I was there doing that than leaving him to try do it on his own, where he might do something wrong. That'd be more dangerous. And while he's doing it, he said, "Do you want some?" And I thought, do you know what? I'm in the south of France right now. I couldn't get home if I wanted to, right? I couldn't buy more if I wanted to. I was literally stuck, and there was no chance of me like everybody says, obviously, it's like highly addictive. Yeah, that's the main problem with it, that you're chasing that dragon constantly, right? But I thought, in this situation that I'm in right now, I'm going to have to go full train spotting on it. I've got no choice. I'll be seeing babies crawling on the ceiling and everything, right? Because I couldn't get hold of any more even if I wanted to. It'd be impossible. So I'd get over it. And I thought, this is the perfect opportunity to find out. If I was ever going to find out, I might as well do it here, where clearly it's a cleaner drug because they're using it more often. It's far more popular. Everyone's a heroin addict over there. Not everyone, but you know what I mean. It's a stage. It seems to be a stage that the popular kids go through in their little teen groups and whatever, the little cliques. And I'm talking the guy I was with and me at the time. We were both like early to mid 20s at the time, right? So it's still in that sort of area. So yeah, I did try heroin that one time. Um, Long story short, I did not inject it. I didn't smoke it. I snorted it, and the first thing I was thinking was Pulp Fiction. This guy's trying to kill me. I seen Pulp Fiction, but I've got a nose like a fucking Hoover, mate. Like that went just straight in and straight down, no issues. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't going nowhere near my brain. Like I don't know how to explain it. I've snorted a lot of drugs in my time, right? So, but yeah, that's the only time. I've never taken crack or anything, and the heroin didn't do anything to me because obviously you're not meant to snort it. I don't know why he didn't explain to me how to smoke it. That would have made more sense. But yeah, no, whatever. I try not to judge things until I've tried them, and I know that's going a step too far, right? Nobody has to take heroin to know it's awful. But at the same time, I'm an older brother of two siblings, so my entire life, I've been the guy that finds out why, so that I can turn around to them and say, yeah, no, don't do that. And you know what I mean? Look at me. Like, it is, yeah, listen to the adults on this one. Do you know what I mean? That was like my job. I was like the adventurer, you know? The parents would be like, well, don't go play in the back garden when the dog's out there. Don't go running around in the back garden when the dog's out there. This isn't a real example. It's just an example. I'd go running around with the dog and, and see why. I'd find out why. Because they never tell you why. They say, because I said so. So I'd come limping back in and be like, yeah, no, don't. He gets a bit boisterous. He might bite you. He's a nice dog. He don't mean any harm. But you get what I mean anyway. The point remains. Hopefully I didn't get off tangent too much. Just too much crack. No, one time I did crack. This guy said, oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. This guy said, blah, blah, blah. It's a joke, mate. That was yeah, okay, maybe he was joking. It wasn't a joke that I got, and I thought it was a good opportunity to show off my teeth. I thought I'm only going to show my teeth on TikTok, and TikTok can see my teeth. I don't mind what TikTok thinks of me, obviously. This guy's coming in with save the bees, a bit of support, nice to see. Obviously, man just wants to encourage me. He just wants to poke me and be like, yeah, 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 people like you. Then this guy comes in. I've never met anyone who wants to save the bees, to be fair. It's just in your head, broski. So because he's never heard anyone say it, that means it's all in my head. That's not how real life works, my G. I'm afraid that just because you've never heard it said does not mean that it's never been said. You absolute fucking main character syndrome cunt. What the fuck kind of shit is that, man? A few more likes on the videos. Some people follow me. Man, some people must have been like, holy shit, this guy's going off his tits. Like, I need to see where this goes because this is going to go mental. He's already blowing up and he's only just started. Pierre Bull Terrier. What an incredibly well thought out point from a well groomed, handsome young man. I've got grey hair, mate. What the fuck? Handsome man. Sorry, where did I get young? Oh, it says you underneath my brains. Let me start again. What an incredible, well thought out point from a well groomed, handsome man. I'm sure lots will listen to you, right? So let's establish the well groomed. I don't swing that way, bro. I'm sorry that you find me attractive and you want to have sex with me. I do not intend to make myself look more attractive just for you. I don't get to see it, do I? Why would I go through all that effort? The fuck? That don't make any sense, does it? Right. Now let's address the other point. Incredibly thought out point. You get fucking like 15 seconds to say something. Fucking, yeah, well, dead well thought out when I can see this fucking 15-second timer at the top of the screen counting down, and I need to find a freaking full stop as quickly as possible while also making a point. You fucking moron. So I told him I wasn't going to have sex with him, I'm pretty sure. And then, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah. I did respond to that one. Jahone, I don't know who Jahone is, but he's talking to Jahone. I just killed a bee in my back garden because of you. How can I do more to help? So man thinks it's funny, you know what I mean? Let him think they're funny. Oh, look who's back. Mate, I think you need to go see a psychiatrist for real, mate. Are you okay? What's that one on? I genuinely wish that was true, but I'm afraid I'm older than you, so I remember the advertising campaigns. All you're stuck with is like these echoes from a distant past, mostly, but you still hear it all the time. And yeah, maybe I sound pissed off in that or something. Maybe the poor motherfucker's like from America or one of these countries where they think that English people like me, Memulus has this problem as well. He's mentioned it. People just think you're pissed off, so you might be like, "All right, mate, how's your day going?" And they're like, "What the fuck's your problem?" One guy in the street was like, "All right, mate," and I turned around and I looked at him and I went, "Do you know me?" And he fucking came over and started getting all big with me like he thought he was going to start a fucking fight. What the fuck? What a crazy man. But anyway, I've also done martial arts, so I just stood, you know, I'm not saying I've done martial arts like I'm a fucking MMA fighter. What I mean is I'm quite confident at self-defense. Like if someone's going to come at me, mate, in this town that I live in, you got to be ready for someone to come at you at any moment, and I am. So no fight happened because I stood my ground. That's how real life works. But yeah. He wants me to see a psychiatrist. My video appeal results. Oh, somebody said I was bullying them. Who said I was bullying them? Well, you've seen the video, of course. It's this one. Yeah, this is the part that really gets me, right? Because obviously everybody's running around going, "Save the bees, save community the bees." Guideline violation. And when you prove them wrong, they're like, "Shut the fuck up about bees." Like, I'm the party pooper. You're killing the fucking planet, dickhead. Yeah, so that's the video that got restricted, and they said no. Yeah, that's definitely bullying. That's literally what they've said. That's bullying. That video. Don't know how. Some people liked my video. This guy comes back. Man, this guy's got problems. But yeah, he comes back on that video and says, "Mate, you need to go to a special hospital. You seem genuinely unwell." Bro, that is a repeated video. What are you talking about? Bro's got 10 comments at only 2 likes. Alright, this is the only place I know where I might actually get heard. Can we stop saying "save the bees"? Bees have got nothing to do with wildflowers, you ignorant cunts. It's all about crop harvesting, for fuck's sake. Alright. So that's that guy basically saying ratioed. But at the same time, he has liked my video, so that's weird, isn't it? The fuck? Alright. This is the only place. It's gone up to 8 likes since he said that. Mad. Give us a 5-star review. Fuck you, you weirdo. Alright, what a nice guy. Don't really know what to say there. I'm gonna give him some love for that. This is the only place I know where I might actually get heard. I guess that one's obviously appeared while I've been dealing with all this, so I haven't seen any of them top ones yet, which is why I thought I'd go through this with you. These ones that say new, and it's just that one guy, but that's nice to see. So that is the whole saga as it stands. The video that came out just before this one is all the videos that I've released, and this one is going through all the comment battles that I've been having over this bee situation. Now, hopefully, in the time that I've been talking, I know I've babbled a lot. I know a lot of it is hopefully some kind of entertaining eroticism. Do you know what I mean? One of those situations where you're like, yeah, he's right, but he's over the top. Do you know what I mean? I am trying to be entertaining. It is a fucking video after all. Like, it'd be a bit boring if I sat here like this the whole time saying like, oh yeah, I've got some facts, and I'll just sit here dead boring and I won't put any emotion into my... Do you know what I mean? Fuck that shit. You want to have a laugh. I don't mind sounding like a crazy person. I look like a crazy person. So that makes it more fun, right? But if you're gonna just leave comments saying that I look like a crazy person or whatever, don't think I don't know that, you prick. I wasn't born yesterday. I didn't just fall out of the sky looking like this. It's ignoring the fact that look into my eyes and you can see I used to be quite a young, attractive, spree lad. Like, do you know what I mean? I know what it's like to be a pretty boy. Yeah, I look like shit now because I've got real bad bouts of severe depression, and I've got real bad social anxiety issues, and I've got other problems that all build up. Whatever, that's not your problem, it's not your concern, and it's got nothing to do with saving the bees or not. Like, seriously, I don't care, we can have that conversation if you want. I'll tell you that I think I'm right to wake up in the morning and just look however I look and be quite proud of myself and quite happy with it. And you can tell me that you're right for trying to get laid every day and walking around looking as sexy as you possibly can like a fucking peacock. Spending all your wages on what? A pair of trainers just in case they happen to glance down. You fucking idiots. What is wrong with society, man? Get out in nature, man. Go camping for a weekend. Fuck. Holy shit. I knew Brexit, right, didn't change anything. That's another issue that I've had with people, so let's tack it on the end in case anyone wants to debate me about Brexit, right? You're welcome to. It didn't change anything. I remember the world before Brexit, when we were part of the EU. I don't really remember the world, like, before we joined the EU, yeah? I don't really remember that, but my mum was definitely pissed off about it. She really hated the laws that came in. I do know that, obviously, we must have been in Euro by the time I was 18, right? Because I had a memory foam mattress, and I used to smoke and fall asleep with a cigarette in my mouth, and I never once burned my house down. And I would have done on an English mattress before Brexit, because that was a German law that got brought over, along with a bunch of other laws that got brought over. So I can't really be unhappy about that, I guess. But we were in the EU when I travelled across Europe, and it changed nothing. I still had to present my passport to get out of England, and then once you're out of England and in Europe, you don't present your passport at all until you get back to the border between Europe and England, which is exactly what happens now. You can stop at the border crossings if you want to. If you're setting off from France and you're going back from France, there's really no need to, is there? Like, why bother? Right? You can just go straight through. I did. I was in the back of a van, so it's not like I had a choice. Where was I going? Oh yeah, Brexit. So then Brexit happened, and I was really happy about it because my mum had explained to me all the problems that happened when German people get to make laws about our local environment like how much the bridge toll should be on the Humber Bridge. Like they're getting a cut of that now suddenly, and that doesn't make sense. Suddenly, us real people are literally having to pay more money to cross a bridge that just because the Germans said that it's got to be universal or something. It's got to fit in with their universal fucking costs across Europe. Like, fuck that. And we've still got, I'm pretty sure them charges still haven't gone down. And I don't know if you know, but over here in northeast Lincolnshire, you should know that the towns are dead end towns, especially like around Grimsby, because Grimsby was the fishing capital of Europe. But all of our fishing waters got given to Iceland. So now this whole town is dead. All the industry's gone from it, right? We get fish imported from Iceland now, so it comes in to factories. There's no like fishermen really per se. There's a few. We've got a little bit of fishing waters, but the majority of it all went. We've got nothing, and we should take that back. That's why we wanted Brexit, is because those are our fishing waters. Fuck you. What? Why do you think that you get them? Whatever. People have said to me that Brexit's really bad, etc., etc. Why did I start talking about it? I knew it was a bad idea to tack Brexit on the end. They said it was a terrible idea. They said things like, "Oh, now there's no freedom of movement." Well, of course there is. All right, you can absolutely still do anything that you could do before. Really, before when I went traveling, I could have worked right anywhere and stayed in any country for X amount of time. And nowadays, the time that you're allowed is probably a little bit more restricted, but trust me, it's enough. You're on holiday and you're traveling, like you're not gonna be in one country for that long, right? And the working thing, mate, I shouldn't really say this publicly, but 90% of the jobs are cash in hand. There ain't no one gonna notice. If you're travelling through, you take a couple of days' work, don't feel like you have to fill in a fucking work permit for it. You're just helping a guy out, and he's very grateful for that help, and he's giving you a donation towards your next meal or whatever. It's not a wage for a day's labour, is it? It depends where you work, obviously. You couldn't do that in the agencies and the factories, which is the kind of work that I was looking for. But you could definitely do it in the grapevine fields and stuff, picking the grapes and stuff, which is one of the other jobs, or the oyster picking that I got offered. I never ended up doing that because I was on my way home at the time. But none of that is taken away from you. I really don't believe that that's been taken away from you. Correct me if I'm wrong, obviously. There's just a couple of things where I find myself standing alone, but the B one is the massive one. So thank you if you listened to the end. I forgotten where I was going with that Brexit rant. When I listen to this back, I mean, I'm just going to upload it as is, obviously, which means that I won't, because I haven't got the time. I'm actually waiting for something quite important at the minute, so I haven't got time to go through and doing a bunch of editing or anything like that. And as you may or may not know, all right, we're going for a short life update. Thank you, everybody. See you later, and short life update to anyone that wants it. So, a friend of mine came round. This is the kind of place I live in, right? This is how crazy shit is. A friend of mine came round and is one of the boys, you know what I mean, who cares about clout, and he introduced me to these videos where people like was filming himself on Snapchat, breaking out of prison and random shit like that. He was into all that. He loved watching videos of people twocking cars, which means stealing cars for anyone who doesn't know the local lingo. Twocking cars, it's a weird word, isn't it? Anyway, he's that kind of guy, a bit of an idiot, and a good few years younger than me. And he wanted to go smash up this guy's house, and I'm not gonna lie, this guy fucking full on deserves it, right? But he come round, and I was like, look, it's the middle of the fucking night, right? We're not going round there yelling and screaming and spray painting on his garden and all the other stuff that he was saying he was going to do. I was like, he deserves a bit of karma. So what would a 15-year-old do who was just picking a random target? Well, if there was a little gang of youths who happened to be walking past, right, they would pick a random house, pick up rocks, throw the rocks at the window, and run away giggling, right? And this guy deserves a bit of karma. So if we're doing this, that's what we're doing. We're just going over, steaming a rock into his window, not through his window. It's double glazing, so it'll just crack it. It's not going through. There's no glass going everywhere. Nothing like that. Do you know what I mean? He'll just end up waking up with like a cracked window, or maybe his alarm will go off or some shit like that. And we run away pretending we're little kids again, right? Honestly, I know this sounds awful. It really does sound awful, but the guy full on deserves it. My mate wanted to do it, and I swear I've never met anyone who needs a dose of karma as much as this guy in my entire fucking life. The guy deserves it. Anyway, my mate comes around with a fucking hammer, a bottle of spray paint, fucking absolutely pissed out of his face, going, yeah, I'm going to put all of his windows through. I'm going to spray paint that he's a cunt all over his driveway. I'm going to stand in his garden yelling shit at him, like, fuck him. I was like, mate, the guy's got a fucking family and he's got old neighbours. Like, nobody on that street has done anything wrong. He's like, oh, he started it. It's not my fault if he's got kids. And the fuck, why are you bringing his kids into it? So he's like, oh, you're a pussy if you don't do it. Are you coming with me or not? I'm having to give you the full story, obviously, for the context, but you'll understand in a minute why I'm telling you this story. So I stood there and I looked him in the eyes, and man, the guy was raging. He was ready to destroy anyone and anything that got in his way at that point, right? He'd obviously had a bad day. I think he'd probably split up with his girlfriend. He was looking for a reason to smash some cunt's house up, and he'd found a cunt who actually deserved it. So he was on one, right? But the guy did not deserve the kind of things that this guy's talking about. He's a fucking maniac right now. He's going to scare the fuck out of the neighbours. He's going to absolutely traumatise the kids. There's no reason for any of that, right? The guy's a dick. His family aren't all horrible, as far as I understand. I've never met him. Anyway, so I looked at him and I was like, no, I'm not going. We're not going, right? It's not happening. Do you know what I mean, right? Now, here's the other thing. He doesn't know where the guy lives. I do, but he doesn't. Luckily for the guy, he's got no fucking clue how much I saved his ass. So my mate, ex-mate obviously, but at the time my mate, just fucking picks up his bottle of beer and looks at my glass table, which houses all my electronics. And in his drunken stupor, he thought that he could like slam the bottle down so hard that his glass bottle would break my glass table. Moron, right? So I'm stood there because obviously I was stood in the middle of my room in case he kicked off. At least I've got space to, swing, restrain him, whatever I've got to do. I know the man's got tools on him. It's not like I'm standing there having a fist fight with the guy. He's got fucking actual weaponry, But no, instead of aiming at me, because he knows what I'm capable of, he's my mate, you know what I mean? He knows full well that I'll stand and defend myself. So instead of aiming his aggression at me, he aimed it at my table, and the glass bottle in his hand shattered. And it was, not full, but like half full. There was a lot in it. It went glass embedded into my TV, into my Xbox, into everything. The walls, glass was everywhere, and beer all over my Xbox, all over my TV, and most importantly, all over my PC. So I haven't actually turned it on since. Which is a bit of an issue, obviously. Like, there's actual there's glass still embedded in drawers over there, right? Because I live alone, so it's not like anyone's in danger or anything. But it's kind of a nice reminder of how much of a badass that I am. That rather than try hit me, he instead tried to smash my table with a glass bottle and ended up just fucking up his hand, man. On his way out, he bled everywhere, blood all over the walls, all down the door and everything. Fucking moron. So yeah, I've told him he owes me $2,000 to replace all the shit that he broke. He told me that I can fuck myself. I was like laughing at him, like, when I was your age, mate, that kind of money was nothing to me. Like, you can call me a loser, but at least I actually went and competed. You ain't got fuck all, and you're like, what, 18, 19? I think he's in his 20s now, I don't know. Somewhere around there. He's fucking just a dick. Do you know what I mean? Just an absolute. He's definitely in his 20s. I don't know what I'm saying. He's definitely in his 20s. He acts like a fucking 12-year-old. But anyway, yeah, so yet another PC fucked. How many PCs have I gone through, guys? Every time you see like part one, and then the series doesn't end, right? That's a broken PC. Every time. So people send me comments like, oh, where's part two? And I'd sit there and think, fuck me, I wish I could do part two for you. I really do, but everything's gone. The vegan one was the worst, man. I had so much shit. I released that specifically, right? I mentioned that guy in it, the one that was well known for being a cult leader who got his followers onto you, and he time stamped the part where he appeared in my video and told all his followers to just go to that timestamp and listen to some out of context clip, and they all did en masse to the point that my video on the retention had this fucking ginormous spike where everyone had just clicked on the video at that moment and then clicked off less than like 3 seconds later of like a half-hour video or whatever the fuck it is. Do you know what I mean? And then they've gone down and left the comment that he told them to leave. And I swear to God, I had the screenshots of the audience retention, and I had the screenshot of him with the timestamp telling them all to do it. And that absolutely proved my point that yes, you know, veganism does have cult leaders that will just follow what he says without listening. They'll just absolutely post whatever he tells them to post, you know, without ever taking any of the arguments into consideration, without ever listening to the opposing side, anything like that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it was all there, perfectly ready for part 2. And what happened? My PC died. And I looked, and like, by the time that I'd got to that stage, obviously things was changing, right? The audience retention was much harder to find. His post was fucking 100% buried, right? And because his post was buried, I couldn't find the timestamp to search for this audience retention spike that I was looking for. That only took place over 2 days, but do you know what I mean? Like, the longer time goes on, those 2 days are more and more hidden every day. So I could never recreate those screenshots. And there was other conversations that I'd been screenshotting that, again, had just been buried and lost in the comment sections or deleted. A lot of them had been deleted because once you prove someone wrong, they get embarrassed and they delete the comment. It happens a lot. And I think that's a shame because it just means that somebody else comes along and makes the exact same error. You've got to own up to your errors. When you make a mistake, you've got to stand there and say, yep, I made a mistake, but now everybody knows better, right? That's why I like flat earthers. I like people debunking flat earthers. I've learned so fucking much about this planet from watching people debunk flat earthers, but it's questions that most people just take for granted. Most people never even question. And you know, part of me wishes it was the same with the Save the Bees, but if that was true, people would be fighting me with facts. But nobody's fighting me with facts, are they? They're all saying, oh, well, I've got a bee colony and I don't put it on the back of a truck and drive it around the country, starving out all the local populations. Like, yeah, I know you don't, you dickhead. You're not a fucking multi-millionaire corporation. And some people think this is stupid, like, oh, as if anybody cares that much about bees. But did you not see Moist Critical's video recently about the guy who burned down all the fucking bouncy castles because they were competing with his business? Do you really think that when people have got money invested, that they're not going to do everything they possibly can to profit? Like, it's insane to me. It's crazy to me. I don't get it. Like, yeah, okay, I look mad, I sound mental, because that's obviously the character that I enjoy playing, right? I can have a reasonable conversation with somebody, but who wants to listen to that? That's boring. Right? But please, God, I'd love it if some one person could come along and say, actually, you're wrong, and here's the list of facts. People have addressed these comments that you're saying, look, there's your statement, and there is the actual debunk of your statement, you know? The bees are genetically modified, and then it takes me to, like, some statement that says it is illegal for big companies to genetically modify bees. They wanted to do it back in the day, but they decided that it would be unhealthy to nature. That would be a rebuttal, right? If you could show me something like that. But sitting there and saying, I don't really believe you, mate. Yeah, I've never heard that one before, and therefore I don't think I trust it. That's fine. I don't mind that you don't trust it, but I don't need to hear that. I already know you don't trust it. Go fucking do some research. You don't have to tell me that you specifically missed a complete stranger who I've never heard of and don't give a fuck about. You don't have to go out of your way to leave me a message that, excuse me, mister, 1 in a billion people over here, I'm just wanted to tell you that I, along with obviously everybody else who knows to keep the mouth shut because you're not bothered in hearing obvious facts, I find it kind of hard to believe. Like, yeah, obviously you do, dickhead. Go do some research. If you're interested, go find out if what I'm saying is true or not. If you're not interested, walk away. Go play football, go work on your car engine, go shopping, go have sex, whatever you want to do. Don't leave a fucking comment saying I look like a crackhead. What the fuck? I know I look like a crackhead. That's why I struggle to get a girlfriend. It's an eating problem that I've got, right? It's not bulimia. It's not, what's the other one? Anorexia. But it has the same sort of effect, right? Fact is, last time I had a hot meal was Monday? Monday? No. Yes. Yes, Monday, because I went on Sunday and the place was closed, and so I still had money on Monday. And I went on Monday and I got myself a plain cheeseburger, which I ate about 2/3 of. I wouldn't even say I got to 3/4. In the end, because I had so much left, I had to like rip it in half so that I could get a small bite of like the middle, which is obviously the best bit, because my stomach could not handle any more of like the edge, like not because it was nasty or anything, just because I didn't have space inside my stomach. But I wanted to have that middle bit, you know what I mean? That's obviously the part of the burger that you want to have. So I had to literally like rip it in half so that I could get like a bite out of what would have been the middle of the burger. And that was the last time I had a hot meal. Since then, I've eaten like on average, I would say probably 2 bags of crisps a day, and I drink Dr Pepper and a chocolate biscuit because I can get a 6 bag of variety crisps for like £1, and sometimes chocolate biscuits. So you get them in like, I think it's a pack of 5 for about £1. So that's £2, and it lasts me like 4 or 5 days. Do you know what I mean? So it'd be silly of me to go buy hot food that's gonna go off anyway. You know what I mean? In the time, like if I bought a pack of bacon, I get 1 bacon sandwich, and then that bacon is gone. Do you know what I mean? It's just gonna sit there and go mouldy. And it's the same with like a loaf of bread. So there's just no point. It's pointless doing things like that. So yeah, I'm really skinny because I don't eat a lot, and yeah, I've gone through a lot in my life that has left me with all kinds of problems, but a few of which personally, I mostly blame the depression for why I'm struggling so much right now to like look after myself. And this whole process is obviously a way of bringing myself back into a routine, making videos again, getting myself out of my shell a little bit more. You know what I mean? It's a good way to vent any issues that I've got going on or whatever. And like I say, just getting myself into a small, regular routine that's not really too much stress, not, you know what I mean? Not too much for me to deal with. But at the same time, like, you know what I mean? It's something that's going to work me towards pulling myself out of this slump. I'm ready to do that now. I feel kind of like my mum's finally sold a house, and that's been the big stress recently. And as soon as like she's out of there and everything's good on my mum's end, then that's going to give me less responsibilities because she's moving closer to my sister, which means that I'll be able to concentrate more on myself. You know what I mean? Like I won't feel every minute like all my energy's been drained making sure that the rest of my family's okay. And like you know what I mean, I'm exhausted before I have a chance to think about what I need. You know what I mean? I don't have the energy and the time or the will to care about that right now. I don't think that's hard to understand. Obviously, we all go through things, right? So you're gonna understand that on some level. You've been there. And yeah, it's not gonna help. Obviously, like as much as like making these videos, it's a part of who I am, right? It's been my hobby since long before the internet was a thing. I've always made videos. My dad, when I was like, God, I have no idea how young, but he had this giant video camera that he borrowed off one of his mates who was like rich enough to own one, you know what I mean? And we made little videos, like little magic tricks where you've got to stand perfectly still and pause the video while he like puts a ball in your hand to make it look like it appeared out of nowhere. And then when I left school, I bought a camera for thousands of pounds that it could do all sorts, and I used to like jump off the garage roof and then, you know, backwards, and then play the video in rewind to make it look like I was jumping on the garage roof. All that kind of crazy shit. Do you know what I mean? Like this was all before the internet was ever a thing, let alone before videos on the internet were ever a thing. This is kind of, you know, making videos and having somewhere to put them that I can see them later. That's what I've done my whole life. It's not my fault that the easiest and best place to do that is somewhere where also other people have a chance to also be entertained by it. Not just me and the few friends slash family that I show it to. Like in the 90s, like when I grew up, that's what we'd do. We'd just show it to our friends and each other, obviously, you know? And yeah, you know, you're welcome. You are very welcome to come in and be entertained by everything that I create. All right, I've got lots of different channels, and if you're interested in those subjects, those channels will appear in your suggested feed. If not, don't expect me to promote them, because why would I? You're clearly not interested in them. You're interested in this channel. That's why you're at this channel, right? That's why you found it. And I'm glad I can help entertain you. But motherfucker, if all you've got to say is some bullshit, negative bullshit, and then I go check your channel and there's not a single video on it, how fucking dare you have an opinion, you absolute nobody? Shut the fuck up. It's easier to walk away than it is to say something negative. Who the fuck do you think you are? Now, if you're making a point, a valid point, or even a funny joke, obviously you've seen I don't curate my comments particularly. I allow people to say whatever they want to say, right? I don't care. You have your say. I'm all about it. I am all about it. And if I agree, I'll agree. And if I disagree, I'll say, what about this? And how about that? And watch any of my videos if you don't believe me. Watch any of them. Because that's just who I am as a person. To me, this is obvious shit. I don't understand the issue. Anyway, I'm getting better. I'm recovering, but I'm always going to look like a crackhead, because even when I can look after myself more, I've got no intention of cutting my hair, and maybe I'll trim my beard or whatever, but I've got no intention of cutting my beard off. So you guys are never going to see any difference. You're not going to see what I'm looking at. You're not going to see the devastation that I'm living in right now because of like probably 18 months of just it's been bad, you know what I mean? Probably longer than that, actually. I would say, well, 2019 was obviously when I had my injury, and that started the train, because my mental health was already struggling a lot, and then the physical injury meant that I couldn't do physical labor anymore, but the mental health obviously meant that I couldn't do like shop work and office work when you're in a tight knit niche, a bit of, you know, clique or whatever you want to call it, clique. You know, I just I can't like deal with that. And especially with the bouts of depression, it's not like I can just wake up every day and go to work every day. I'll have a day off because I can't physically get myself out of bed. And then the fact that I know that my boss is ringing me, my boss wants to know where I am, is making it worse. Like, it just makes it worse. It doesn't help in any way. And I can't talk about it. If it was up to me, I'd go to work the next day. Like, they'd leave me alone, and then I'd go to work the next day and pretend it didn't happen. I absolutely ignore the fact that I had a day off. No one would mention it. No one would be like, are you all right? Nothing. I just want to be left alone to get on with my work. Yes, I had a bad day yesterday. That was yesterday. Don't make me think about it today. Today I'm obviously all right, but if you bring it up, it just makes it harder next time. Because next time, I can't help it. I'm going to get into that situation at some point, and I'm going to have that day off. But now, it's harder to come back, because I know when I do, people are going to be all over me about it. So now I'm in bed for 2 or 3 days straight. And if you think I'm exaggerating, I'm sorry, but I'm not. I've got it bad. I see a lot of people saying, oh yeah, me too. You know, like back when I used to try explain this shit to people because I had to, because nobody believed me. They were all trying to force me to do shit that I just can't do. I'm not capable. I'm not normal. And I'd explain this shit to them, and they'd be like, oh yeah, me too. I've got that problem too. No, you haven't. You quite clearly haven't. I'm looking at you being a normal person, fitting in society. One minute they'll tell me, yeah, I ain't got any friends either. And then they'll be like, but my mate Jane, oh, what an idiot. Rah, rah, rah. What the fuck? You have got a mate. I haven't, because at one point or another, they've said something to me that they think is a compliment that I can see straight through. And people don't like being called out when they're actually an arsehole, right? So there was this girl, and I don't know, she was nice. I liked her. We got on and whatever. And then she moved away and she was a bit lonely. And I was like one of very few people who still sent her a message every now and then saying, like, just checking in, making sure you're all right, what you're up to, giving her some company. She's living in a new town away. And she sent me a message that said, bearing in mind we've known each other for a couple of months at this point, at least. I can't just remember how long it had been, but it was enough time. And she goes, "You're actually a really nice guy, Johnny." Do you know what she actually just said to me is, up until this moment right now, I thought you was a prick. I thought you was a bellend. Up until right now, I just assumed that you was a dickhead. Thanks very fucking much. Why were you friends with me then? I don't want to be friends with somebody who wants to be friends with a dickhead. If that's who you think I am, then I don't want to be friends with you, you horrible fuck. What the fuck? I don't understand how she saw that as a compliment. Why do people say that? Oh, do you know what? You're alright, actually. One of my mates once, when we were on a magic mushroom trip, I must have been like 17, said, "Do you know what, Johnny? You're actually really intelligent." Motherfucker, we've just been to school together for fucking 3 years. What was it? Year 9, 10, 11. Yeah, 3 years. And you're just now telling me that you've only just noticed that I'm intelligent. You know what it is? It's the northern accent. People don't like the northern accent. They want me to be thick because they've watched like Educating Yorkshire or whatever. They want me to be stupid, but I'm not. And it upsets them more than anything, especially when I prove them wrong. I had one mate in Essex who honestly thought he was more intelligent than me, despite the fact that he was full-on dyslexic. He was just an idiot. He was full-on dyslexic, and that doesn't instantly mean that you're stupid or anything at all. But he was... What I mean, I can't explain this really now, can I? I've dug myself a hole. What I mean is, he was full-on dyslexic, and he was just comfortable in that world. He didn't like... It's not like he had coping mechanisms to get around it and learn things. He just learned by osmosis, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you can't possibly think you know more than somebody who not only has the ability, but enjoys to sit and learn about a subject. That's what I do. Like, I sit and watch hour-long documentaries followed by another hour-long documentary. That's my... Like, while you're listening to music, this is absolutely true. The part of your brain that listens to music is the part of my brain that sticks on a documentary, all right? Sometimes I'm listening to it word for word. Sometimes I'm paying it full attention and I've got full engagement. Other times, I'm actually doing something else in the background and I've got this documentary just... like a little brainworm, just teaching me things without me really paying attention to it. My subconscious is taking little factoids in, and then later on I'll be like, "Oh, did you know blah de blah?" And people will be like, "Well, why the fuck do you know that?" And I won't have an answer for them because I've just watched, like, I've just had hour-long documentaries on my fucking suggested feed, just playing through. At the minute, it is, because I've been watching a lot of flat earthers, it is constantly space documentaries, and it's like this one guy who does them all. It's the same narration for all of them, so it's got a bit tedious at the minute. You know, another thing that I watch, and this might blow your mind as well, but I genuinely enjoy sitting and watching lectures on YouTube. Did you know you can do that? If you're interested in a subject, I was trying to make an animation for one of King Crocoduck's debates before one of my PCs died. And it was deep, man, because that guy's fucking clever. And so every time he made a point, in order to get the animations to line up with the science, I had to go off and learn the fucking science that he was talking about. Swear to God, there was like 2 or 3 points where he said like 2-second line. He's just said a line, and in order to understand exactly what he means and make sure that the images on the screen make sense to the words that he's narrating, because his original video had no visuals. That's the only reason I wanted to do it. I asked his permission. It wasn't, you know what I mean, without his say so. He said, "Go ahead, I'm looking forward to it." Unfortunately, my PC died. It never existed. Maybe one day it will. Not the point. The point is, he would say a sentence and I would have to go off and watch hours and hours and hours of hours and hours and hours of lectures, actual lectures filmed in lecture halls, where I'd be listening to some boring ass guy with a chalkboard at the front of the room. They're not boring at all. I love it. But from your perspective, You can't do that. So if I do tell you something with conviction, don't for a second think it's coming from me. I don't know anything. I will only say something with conviction if it has been proven to me, which means that it is absolutely true. And the same can be said about the bee stuff, not because it's a widespread thing and everyone's like, oh, the bees are starving out the natural pollinators, because nobody else has put two and two together. This is because somebody once said, if there's no bees, then there's no flowers. And my response to that was, I didn't say it out loud. This is how my thought process went. I thought, that's a little bit weird. How can that possibly be true? Because, for a start, I keep ants, and I know that the ants in my house pollinate the pepper plants on my windowsill. So, and there's more ants by weight than there is humans, so there's ants every fucking where. So even if that was the only one, and that was the only one I knew about or cared about at the time, if that was the only one, surely the ants would keep some plants alive. And I did a bit more research and found out a few more things, and I put two and two together, and I found out that yes, bee farms do starve out local pollinators. Yes, there is factual information that you can go look up and find out about that. It's not just gibberish coming out of my mouth. It is an actual thing, because obviously there is a limited amount of fucking food. That's why I don't feel the need to go off and look through all my research that I did fucking 4 or more years ago, by the way, at this point. Right? And I don't feel the need to go rehash all that research that I've already done, because I already know it. And if you want to know it, guess fucking what? That's your job, dickhead, not mine. I'm trying to help point you in the right direction. It's not my job to be your dad and walk with you in my hand by hand, and fucking take you and force you to look at these things. That's not my fucking job. I'm telling you the facts. Go look it up. Go look it up. I don't have a computer. I don't have the ability. Believe me, if I did, I'd be rubbing it in your face. For fuck's sake, it's far too much effort with what I've got going on. Go do your own research, and if you find anywhere that I'm wrong, please tell me. Because guess what? I love being proven wrong. It's the only way that I can ever know that I'm right. If you don't prove me wrong, I just haven't been proven wrong yet. But if you do prove me wrong, suddenly I'm closer to the truth, because I now know that the thing that I used to believe is not true. Even if you can't prove what the actual truth is, if you can prove what I'm saying is wrong, fucking do it. Please. I'm begging for it. I'm begging for anything that isn't just an ad hom. That isn't just, oh, well, he's not right in the head. Oh, too much crack. Oh, fucking may need special help. Oh, what the fuck, man? Do you actually think you sound good? You sound like a horrible person. Like, even if you were right, who does that, man? Who walks around going over to mentally retarded people going, you sound like a fucking mentally retarded person. You're a horrible cunt, you stupid bastard. Fucking keep it to yourself. It'll do you more favours. Have you ever heard the saying, better to remain silent and be thought a fool than open your mouth and remove all doubt, mate? Because that embodies it. You freak of nature. Thank you for listening, guys. Enjoy your day. If you've got anything to comment, please do. I love you all. I respect the community. I just wish there was more place for, like, I don't know, toxic humour. Like, the banter, you know what I mean? I miss it, man. And I don't know why they hate on those of us that are quite clearly having banter, but, you know, love you, bro. But they won't cut down on actual con artists because they're harder to find in the algorithm. Do you know what I mean? There's no problem with actual, like, you know, manipulation and shit like that. But if you call someone a fucking arsehole, holy shit. They're allowed to be an arsehole, mate. You're not allowed to say anything about it. How dare you point out that they're an arsehole? How dare you bring attention to the fact that this guy over here has been an arsehole? Fuck the future, mate. Fuck the fucking future.